Now, if Sofia Vergara does not win an Emmy for her performance in Griselda, we're rioting. What's going on, Flix Talkers? Welcome back to another review. Now, this time it's a series review for Griselda, which is coming out Thursday, January 25th, 2024, exclusively on Netflix. Now, I don't review series often, but once I heard that this was coming to fruition, starring Sofia Vergara, I gotta admit, I looked at the side-by-side comparison and I'm like, Netflix, y'all are doing this way too often to people. But that's okay because I don't know much about Sofia Vergara other than she's in Modern Family, which I've never seen. She's on America's Got Talent, and she's in one of my favorite movies growing up, Four Brothers. And not to mention, I did watch a lot of documentaries, mainly just Cocaine Cowboys 1 and 2, and a few video essays on YouTube about Griselda Blanco, the godmother herself. So that's all the knowledge that I had. That's all the knowledge that I wanted to know. And it wasn't until after the fact that I found out that this is an inspired by real events, fictional dramatization of Griselda Blanco. Now, I'm gonna right away hit you guys with my dislikes. I don't like that. I know I'm working backwards. I usually go likes and dislikes, but I don't like the fact that they didn't keep it 100% true to some of the things that she possibly did or didn't do in her lifetime. But I understand life is not all entertainment sometimes, so you gotta kind of do that for the audience sake. Let's back it up a little bit. All right, this is starring Sofia Vergara as Griselda Blanco. This is a 6-episode series. Each episode is roughly about an hour, and I'm sure you guys probably guessed it, but just a heads up, about 80% of this is in Spanish. You're gonna have to be reading subtitles unless you know Spanish. I gotta preface that because I know a lot of people will tune out if it's not dubbed in English or just English 100%. But let's get into the story, guys, about Griselda Blanco. Now, we're thrown into this story where it shows that she's definitely already lived for a while in a life of crime. Now, we start off in Medellin, Colombia, and through some crazy wild events that you guys see, she ends up taking her and her family to Miami. Now, this is Miami in the 70s. Now, that's my big like, is when you do a timepiece, you gotta make sure that we're immersed in that decade. We're talking about cars, the music, the fashion, and boom, hitting you guys with my likes right off the bat for Griselda was that. I felt like I was in Miami in the 70s. They painted a perfect picture once again, which, my God, I can only imagine is a very tough thing to do. So kudos to all the production company, the wardrobe department, the film crew that had to make sure they don't catch anybody in the back that's wearing like a fresh 2023 t-shirt. But once Griselda is separated from Colombia, she has to figure out, what am I gonna do here? I'm solo, I'm by myself. She may know a couple of friends, but all of her friends are back in Medellin. She has to make a new connect if she wants to stay in this drug world, and we kind of get to see the ins and outs, somewhat the background, the interminglings that go on in the drug world. And one thing I absolutely loved of what they showed us is that it's not easy. It's not like you just walk in and say, hey, I want to take over. This ain't no Scarface mission. You really got to put in that work. She's a woman, so she deals with a lot of rejection in a male-dominated drug world. And even though technically drug lords are supposed to be looked at as villains, they definitely humanize her as a mother. So we do feel for her in those moments where she's dealing with her 3 sons of, hey, I'm doing this for your future, for your survival. But of course, it becomes, and forgive me if this is a spoiler, but Walter White situation where you kind of plan to do this illegal activity for just a little bit just so you can get by, and then the greed just overpowers you. You find out you're a little better at your job or your hobby, so to speak, so you keep going. That's kind of what ends up here, and people start dubbing her the godmother. Now, I had mentioned it before, but a huge like, the music, man. I love the music of the 70s. I think if you guys can definitely appreciate that time period of disco hits that were pumping and thumping in the clubs, you guys will have a good time with this. As well, once again, the fashion, I thought everything looked really swagged out. I mean, I would never wear something like that nowadays. Kind of hard to believe they squeezed everything up in there, but okay. I liked and believed a lot of these characters that sometimes we're only introduced to for about one episode and then they're killed off or whatever, because you have to give off that demeanor, you have to give off that presence, like, I'm the head honcho, I'm the jefe, I'm the drug dealer that you need to impress to gain my trust for us to work together. So constantly, Sofia Vergara's character of Griselda is knocked down episode after episode after episode, and you're like, are things gonna get any better? And then I'm like, what do you mean better, David? Like, you're watching a drug lord in the making. So it's one of those shows at the end of it, you kind of don't know who you're supposed to root for, really, because all in all, everybody's doing really evil shit in this show. Now, I've already heard a couple of early reviews on Griselda from some people, and they're really saying that it does feel like Narcos or Narcos Mexico. Now, I've never watched those shows. I'm going into this once again, not knowing what I'm going to get myself into, not even really technically knowing too much about Sofia Vergara. And that leads to another huge like of mine. I'd mentioned it in the intro. Griselda Blanco, played by Sofia Vergara. She absolutely nailed this role. If you guys want to see some great monologues, if you guys want to see some action and passion and some wild shit, because there are some things that happen at these parties that she's throwing that I was like, I gotta look this up. This can't be real. This cannot be real. Once again, Netflix says there's some fiction in here, so I don't know. But Sofia Vergara pushes it there, man. She doesn't even look like herself. Her teeth are all brown from smoking not only cigarettes, but she's doing some other smoking in this show.
One of Sofia's signature features are her beautiful eyebrows. So she wanted to have that sort of tweezed out late 70s look. She's wearing prosthetic eyebrow covers and then false eyebrows that are glued on, and then a nose and a plate of teeth, slightly bucked. And we yellow out her bottom teeth even a bit more because she smokes.
But she looks beaten and battered just from all the stuff that she's intaking, all the mental abuse, all of the life of crime around her. She's putting out hits on people. She's a very, very commanding yet scary woman. That's one thing. She is scary. She may not look it. This chick is scary.
We're gonna make the big money for ourselves, for our families, and keep what is fucking ours.
Also, this quote-unquote Cuban and Colombian crime wave that was happening around that time, this was really, really happening. So she had an army behind her in the later episodes that you guys get to see, and it's like, yo, this is Scarface to the 10th degree. Now, there's this character, Dario, played by Albert Guerrera. This dude was so cool, man. He was kind of like the Ryan Gosling character in Drive, just like the Cuban version, you know? I'm not gonna get into who he was in Griselda's life, but he was a hitman. He was doing a lot of things, man, and I really believed his character all through these episodes that he's in. Now, also the character of June, played by Juliana Martinez. She plays a detective. She plays someone that has like a desk job, but she wants more. She is smart. She is very, very smart. When a lot of these guys around her are dumb or just negligent, they're not pursuing any leads whatsoever on all this crime that's happening around Griselda's reign. She steps up. She starts showing a lot of evidence. She starts digging deep, and she's hot on Griselda Blanco's trail, and I actually really did like her character. It's hard for me to get sucked into side stories, especially when it comes to a miniseries, because yes, you have a lot of time to focus on multiple characters, I understand, but sometimes 3 or more, you know, you gotta just really be engaged in these important characters, and she's one that I thought was extremely interesting. I thought she had a lot of motivation. I thought she was really good at her job, and by the end, I was like, I really wanted to look up this story if she was real to Griselda Blanco's life. Now, next up is the character of Isabel, played by Vanessa Ferlito, who I only know from right there, Death Proof. If you guys can see it on the wall, Death Proof. It was a surprise and a shock to see her in this role, but once I kind of saw her just interact with Griselda and what her relationship to Griselda was like, I was like, dang, okay, I could definitely see the acting chops are still there for her. I don't even know what else she's in really, but she does have a pivotal role to Griselda, and there's a lot of backstory that we don't get too much. Once again, we're kind of thrown into the beginning reigns of Griselda in Miami. Now, it's very easy for me to say for a drug show like this to mention that there's gonna be action. Oh yeah, there's action. There's shootouts, there's wild shit happening, there's ODs happening left and right, there's parties, there's all kinds of animosity and beef that goes along with trying to be the top dog, right? There's betrayal, there's paranoia, there's cops watching you. There's all kinds of shit happening in this show that seemed very, very realistic to a movie of mine that I would really love, like a Carlito's Way, a Scarface, once again, Blow. It's just obviously different when you're seeing a female lead doing all this crazy shit. You don't expect it, and I know it really happened because Griselda Blanco was a real person, but it's just unbelievable, unfolding in front of you, so to speak, in a series form, and it was extremely entertaining. Once we pressed play on those first couple of episodes, I wanted to watch all of them. It was a very easy watch, and I think if you guys like content like this, crime and drama, you guys are really going to enjoy Griselda. So all that being said, because I didn't want to make this review too long, guys, I'm giving Griselda a solid 5 out of 5. I had a very entertaining time with this one, and once again, if Sofia Vergara is not winning an Emmy for this performance, because she gave me goose pimples a couple of times in those monologues, we're rioting. All right, Flix Talkers, what did you guys think of Griselda? If you guys have seen it, please let me know down in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts on some of your favorite parts or not so favorite parts of her life or the story that is portraying her life. You guys let me know in the comments below. And if you guys did appreciate my review, let me know by hitting that big thumbs up, and consider subscribing today for more reviews like this, movie reactions, trailer reactions, and live streams here on the channel. All right, Flix Talkers, till next one, I'm gone. Peace.